This is the data preparation video for a two-way mixed model ANOVA. We'll be working through research questions, so you'll become familiar with entering data into SPSS in preparation for analysis with a mixed model ANOVA. Our research question is as follows. A researcher wanted to investigate the effects of text messaging on children's ability to learn correct written English. An experiment was conducted with 50 children. One group of 25 children was encouraged to send text messages on their mobile phones over a 6-month period. A second group of 25 was forbidden from sending text messages for the same period. The outcome was a score on a grammatical test that was measured both before and after the experiment. And this is our data set. Remember, a two-way mixed model ANOVA has two independent variables, which are indicated here. Our text message usage and time at which grammatical ability was assessed. Our text message usage group is our between subjects factor. This incorporates our independent measures design, and this factor has two levels, controls versus text messages. Our within subjects factor is time at which grammatical ability was assessed, and this is our repeated measures factor because participants are being measured at 2 points in time, before and after. So each participant is either in the control group or text messages group. And no matter which group they're allocated into, they will provide two scores, one score for each time point. If we enter our data into SPSS, this is what it would look like. We'd have 3 columns. Our first column or variable is our between subjects factor, or the group in which the children are allocated in. The next 2 columns make up our within subjects factor. Like with all repeated measures design, each level gets its own column. And like always, each row represents one participant. Let's now open up a new data set in SPSS so we can enter this data in ourselves. Once we've loaded SPSS, like always, we're going to start in our variable view window to set up our variables. The 3 pieces of information we know about each participant is whether they are in the control or messages group and their scores measured before and also after the experiment. So let's set up our first variable, which is our between subjects factor. Let's call this variable group. We can choose to give a more descriptive label, but I'm going to leave this blank because group is pretty self-explanatory. Now, what we need to do is assign values for this variable so SPSS can distinguish those who are in the control group versus the messages group. So let's click on the values field and the button with 3 dots. Let's assign value 1 as our control group and click add. And we're going to assign value 2 as our text messages group and click add. Let's now click OK. And of course, we need to finish off setting up this variable by selecting our scale of measurement. And our scale of measurement is nominal. Let's now set up the 2 variables associated with our within subjects factor, time. We can start with our before variable. So let's type in before into our second row. And we can give a more descriptive label like grammatical ability before experiment. And what we do to finish this off is to select our scale from our measure drop-down list. And this is scale. Let's set up our after variable in the same way. So let's type in after in row 3 and give this variable a more descriptive label like grammatical ability after experiment. And select our scale of measurement. Done. We've now set up the variables, so let's go ahead and enter in our data. So change our window into our data view window and start with participants who are in the control group. Our first participant within our control group scored 6 before the experiment and 6 after the experiment. So let's type in 1 under the column heading group and 6 under the column heading before, and 6 under the column heading after. You'll continue to do this for the remaining 24 participants in the control group. And your data set should look like this. So you should end with 25 participants in the control group. Let's now continue with the participants in the text messages group. So on row 26, let's type in 2 under column heading group to represent the participant allocated in the text messages group. And the first participant in this group scored 5 before the experiment and 3 after the experiment. So once again, you'll continue to do this for the remaining 24 participants in the text messages group. And once again, your data set should look something like this. So when you finish actually entering in all your data, you should have a total of 50 rows because you have 50 participants. 25 of them should be in your control group and 25 in the text messages group. You're now ready to analyze this set of data using a two-way ANOVA. Save your data file so you don't have to do this all over again, just in case you lose it. And that concludes our data preparation video.